because we too are going to therapy to try to fix our marriage.
God bless you. Yeah.
Do you attribute, the show to either, like a lot of couples come on TV and then it's either negative, like it affects your marriage, or positive in the sense that you sit there and it is like a home movie and you watch and you say like, wow, look at that. Like, I didn't realize I spoke to you that way, or vice. Like, do the show either like hinder your marriage or help it?
I think it helped it in the sense of, again, how do you deal with conflict? Are you like a denier and you don't actually deal with it? Or do you like address it head on? On reality television, they don't let you just like not deal with it, right?
Right.
And I think honestly, one of the things that will be probably true about our marriage, if we weren't on the show, we would have been divorced, because we would not have actually dealt with what was real and even sought authentic, like, help. Like, we would have just been like, I'm good, you're good, I'm gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay, and keep it real superficial and surface, like we're not happy, as opposed to like figuring out the fundamental issues within kind of me and the fundamental issues that are in him, and then trying to empower our relationship by improving ourselves. Because honestly, even if we got divorced, we would have still been, my daughter, the little one, is in third grade. So we're going to be tied together forever. 2 birthday parties for each kid, 2 Christmases. That's awesome. I did not want to do any of that stuff. And so we needed to learn skills that were going to be healthy anyway. So we would have never done any of that had we not been on television and been forced to recognize how unhealthy our relationship was.
Wow. So the show basically saved your marriage in the sense.
In my opinion, we would have not dealt with anything if we hadn't been forced to. And forced to in the sense of, even when the show was on and we were going through it last season, we didn't talk about it when we were filming, right? We just went into our corners or into our rooms and we just were like, forget you, and that was it. And then when we have to be together, we have to be together. But we didn't deal with the toxicity and then kind of like what was going to happen from there. And for some people, believe it or not, and I know a lot of couples like this, they live like that. They live in disharmony, and that is their norm. And then their kids grow up and they have they don't have harmonious relationships. And it's because of the patterns that they see. They think this is normal. But I think both of us were secretly craving connection, but we didn't know how to ask for it, and didn't even understand it was okay to ask for it, right? Because we were financially doing okay. Our kids were healthy. We have job, like what the rest of that stuff, like, seems like fluff. And it wasn't. It was messing with our emotional and mental state. And we needed to make a change.
Wow. Well, I'm glad things are back on track for you and Dr.
Yeah.
Scott. Now, we do see that's not how the whole season went. You and Heavenly, you guys
Yeah.
left in a pretty decent place in New York, and now we find out
Yeah.
right in the pilot she ghosted you and is saying you have a fake marriage and an abusive marriage. First of all, why is Heavenly so obsessed with your marriage?
And I'm not
That
on mute. I didn't stop. I'm literally, that was when you are like sitting in silence and you're like, because that's what had to happen for me. Like, I just was not listening every day actively to anyone directly. But when I sat in silence and then I went back and started like listening to what my friends were saying and to the messages, I had to address toxicity that was outside of a marriage as well. And I was confused. I was so confused. And more importantly, I was mortified that it wouldn't stop. Right. And it was so inconsistent for me with being a friend that I just had to like deal with it. And that's what you'll see this season.
Wow. I mean, yes. And we also see that, apparently you're not the only one that Heavenly has things to, say. I mean, when you did find out of just with yourself, that all these things were being said, because you guys were on a track, like what was the emotion? Like, were you hurt, sad, angry? Was it all of the
Oh,
emotions?
all that. I was scared. First thing, I was scared of like what, because sometimes when you are with your friends, it's a little bit different from what happens when you're like with a loved one. Like you are I was so scared that I was going to go outside of who I'm supposed to be as a person and not be clear about my message, because really it was all about boundaries, right? It was all about respect, and it was not about like conflict. I'm not trying to control what someone says or does, but if you want to be in my world, and I respect your life, I respect your decisions, I respect your relationships, I need reciprocity there. And I was all those things, but it was also like mourning. It was like a loss of someone who was close to me. And so it was, but it wasn't, my question to myself was, is this a necessary thing for me to move forward? And that's what you'll see this season.
I can't wait to watch as the season goes on. Do you take any solace in the fact that, as we saw from the trailer, like she does say, single quad needs a man and Toya needs a job and Jackie's marriage is also in trouble. I mean, it's not just you. Is there any solace in the fact that all these other people are targets as well?
Not, not only so actually, and I think someone alluded to, like, there are some things that I try to do to make it not like that. Actually is my goal in life, is always to like show, like, this is, maybe I know I took it personally, but this is not, I'm not the only person that you've done that to. And maybe I'm being hypersensitive, but should we maybe look at the way we're approaching how we're talking about our friends? And oh, by the way, if we turn the mirror around on you, would you be able to stand it? Right? Can you tolerate all those things? Because we all have vicious tongues. I mean, we can all do this, but we've chosen, in the past, when there was, questions and suspicions about her marriage, we went, there's different routes that all of us chose to take. And so it was just, I really wanted to stay in a place of like hurt and being clear about my feelings, as opposed to anger, because when you're angry, you're not always clear in the message, because the message is truly that this was my sister and this is my friend. And once I love somebody, I'll never not love them. However, just like your brothers and sisters, I mean, that doesn't mean you're not going to fight. You're not going to maybe Cain and Abel it and fight to the death. So I hope and pray it doesn't get there. But in order for, because I blocked out some of the things that happened this season because it was a lot. So maybe when I'm watching, I'm going to be like, oh my God, did that happen? But yeah, it was tough. It was tough going through it. And I think you guys are going to be entertained.
If the trailer and coming attractions and first episode or anything, I think we're going to be entertained as well. Yes. And we all know that we have this intervention coming up. And I imagine you don't just sit around and do interventions every day for your friends.
No, we don't. No. Maybe we should, though. Maybe there's some friends we should, but yeah, we don't.
I can't wait to see that. I mean, what about, we see Quad this season, she becomes a Munty. I mean, like you said, like, you're a mom, like, did you give her any advice? What advice would you give her in raising this young boy?
Oh my goodness. So I love Munty. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that she, you don't always have to birth a child in order to raise that child. And honestly, it's so many children in this world. And I'm a big advocate of, and not, this has no relevance, of course, on Quad directly, but foster kids and kids who are adopted, and finding a person whose heart is so open to say, I'm not going to be selfish and enjoy my single fun life and take on the responsibility of someone else. That just gave me a new level of respect for her. But one thing I try to do when it comes to parenting in particular, all three of my kids are different. So, one thing that you have to do is just authentically listen to the kid, and also make sure that you're still getting some time for yourself. And that's really all that I think we try to do for her, because she's kind of been Munty. They haven't always shown it. She's very involved in Mason's life, and she's always been. So now it's just a little bit more direct one-on-one. So I'm just